A Democrat candidate having to cancel some fundraisers today, having some issues as some text messages were released. Now, look, we're not big fans of the whole cancel culture thing and all of that and what your private text may say or not say. However, when these are your private texts, I think the voting public probably should know. They should probably know that they are threatening violence and or murder of their political rivals, Will.
It's a couple years old. This was from the text messages are when they were sent in 2022. And this candidate, Jay Jones, then he was a former delegate of the House of Delegates in Virginia, which is their House of Representatives in their bicameral system. He used to represent Norfolk, Virginia, and he texted a former colleague who was a Republican, Kerry Coyner, who is still in the House of Delegates, about how upset he was that there were Republicans, including the Speaker of the House at the time, Todd Gilbert, were praising this moderate Democrat who had passed away. They were speaking very kindly of him in the way he worked. He was a longtime Democrat in the Virginia politics. And he said vile things, wishing that they were dead so he could desecrate their graves. I'll put it that, because I'm not going to say what he said.
I would go one step further just to let people know how vile, though.
Yeah, I think we go a little bit more vile.
Okay. He said he would like to see he would like the speaker's wife to watch their 2 children be shot and executed in the head.
Right.
This guy
So policy could get changed.
is being supported by Senator Tim Kaine. I think that support alone disqualifies Tim Kaine from public office.
Yeah, Tim Kaine said something to the effect of, I don't agree with him
they
on
said
this.
It's a disgusting comment, but you know why they don't? It's because early voting's already started.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the deal. It started off with, I wish they would die so I could mess up their graves. And then when the Republican who he was texting pushed back and said, you shouldn't talk like that.
It said stop.
He went further. He said if there were 2 bullets and 3 people, Hitler, Pol Pot, and the Speaker of the House, 2 of the bullets would go in the head of the Speaker. She pushed back on that. And he said, spoiler, any of the worst people you can think in the Speaker, he still gets the 2 bullets. She pushed back on that. He called her.
And by push back on it meant you're going too far.
He said, you need to stop saying this. I don't like that you're texting this. This is disgusting. He called her to try to explain. That conversation, we don't know the contents of, but has been reported was him just doubling down, trying to explain. They end up getting off the phone, and she said, on the phone, you stop talking to me about this. You were saying you wished harm to his children, whom you know. You have met his wife and children. And he said, they're evil people. They're breeding little fascists. I wish that his wife had to hold his dying children so he would change policy. Yeah. And then he said, the only way you get people to change their minds on policy is when they experience real pain.
And they're trying to push back on this, saying, this was a long time ago, a full 36 months ago that this had happened. Don't pay attention to it. Not that this guy was well into his adulthood at this point. This is a guy who doubles and triples down as he's currently running for Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Pretty historic spot to be running. And he is threatening violence, very, very specific violence and desecration of the graves of his political rivals. This is disturbing. But of course, what's happening right now is that no one seems to be able to disown this guy. He has canceled a few of his fundraisers for tonight. But Tim Kaine, even, who has endorsed him, said, you know what? I don't like this rhetoric. I find it gross. However, he still got my vote.
So that's what every major Democrat in the state is saying. That's what the gubernatorial candidate is saying. She said that. That's what the head of the Democrat Party there said. That's what the leader of their House said. That's what the leader of their Senate said. So the House of Delegates, the state Senate. So this is kind of what I put forward. This idea that we will learn a lot if he stays in the race about violence and leftist voters, and honestly, Democrat voters. Because if they're okay with their leaders calling for us, calling for you, calling for conservatives because they have a different viewpoint on the Second Amendment, to have their children assassinated, executed in front of their mother, and then to desecrate their grave, and they're writing it to a Republican, just 3 years ago, and now they're running to be the top law enforcement official in the state in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This, to me, speaks broader to where the Democrat Party is when it comes to violence emanating from the left. It's an endorsement. If you are a bit crazy, it's an endorsement to go ahead and carry out this job.
People whose ideology, they've been hearing what's coming from the left, and there are crazy people out there that will do crazy things. And when you have someone running for the Attorney General, the top law enforcement official in the state of Virginia, who's also made horrible statements about police in the past, and he's trying to be the top cop. He literally said, if you want fewer police shootings, more police need to die. That is who is running for the state, the Commonwealth's Attorney General position.
And has he had no response to any of this, really?
He did put a response out and said, many of us regret, is like all people, I sent text messages that I regret, and I believe that violent rhetoric has no place in our politics. Let's be clear about what is happening in the Attorney General race right now. Jason Miyares is dropping smears through Trump-controlled media organizations to assault my character and rescue his desperate campaign. This is a strategy that ensures Jason Miyares will continue to be accountable to Donald Trump, not the people of Virginia. This race is about whether Trump can control Virginia or Virginians control Virginia.
Jason Miyares, who we're talking about as the Republican candidate, is the current Attorney General. So he has already won statewide election in the Commonwealth of Virginia. 2, yes, people say things in text messages they wouldn't want out. They don't say these kind of things.
Right.
Okay? This kind of thing, if a high school kid said right now and was uncovered, their house would be raided.
And they'd go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Rightfully so. And if their parents didn't report it, the parents should be going to jail. And I think we'd all agree, because that's not just blowing off steam when you keep doubling down and tripling down on exactly what you'd like to see because of their political views. So the idea that, yes, no one would want all their text messages out. That's trying to compare, again, apples and oranges. When we're talking about text messages about killing unelected, innocent kids of the speaker, don't know their political views, but let's watch them die in front of their mother. I would support that as what the current lead. I mean, he's the number 2 official. He wants to be number 2 in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He wants to be the top law enforcement official.
Yeah, he is the candidate for one of the 2 parties in a state that goes blue all the time.
If he is elected, we know a lot. We've now learned that the mainstream Democrat voters are okay with this kind of rhetoric, which then all it takes is one person to carry this out.